Welcome to a new episode of the Inside Rip. Today's guest, former player, current analyst, Doug Glanville, who talked about some of the biggest names in the game, including Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, and Aaron Judge, and how collectors could reevaluate how they collect prospects long term. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The end of last season, which, my God, one of the best games in our lifetime, extra innings, that World Series against the Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays, which ended in a 5-4 finale. And while the Toronto Blue Jays certainly did everything in their power to take down the Dodgers went home champions for the second year in a row.
Yeah.
Now with the additions of Kyle Tucker and Edwin Díaz joining Ohtani in LA, will we witness 3 straight MVPs and 3 straight World Series?
I mean, it's the most likely scenario, I'm telling you, because I just did their game yesterday, and I don't know how you get this lineup out. Like, I mean, it's like ludicrous. And they're lefties, they're righties, it doesn't matter. The Diamondbacks, who played against them last night, they don't have a left-handed pitcher in their bullpen, so they don't really have the neutralizer to get these lefties out, and they just wore it, So, deep bench, great pitching, and they have the resources to get the help whenever they need it. So the trade deadline comes around in July, they're just going to make a move. So, there's a lot of great teams in baseball this year. I think Seattle, Toronto still, Yankees, Phillies, Padres. I mean, it's baseball. It's hard to win even when you're the favorite. Mm-hmm. But the Dodgers won the last 2 years, and they're arguably better. so could people get hurt? I don't know, but wow, they only added to their odds.
As someone who grew up a Yankees fan during the prime 90s, 2000s, I am like, how would they even be? I don't think Jeter or any of those guys had a chance. This is insane.
I mean, 3 in a row is seemingly impossible. I know each season is its own season, but there is something to be said for 3 in a row. It's like, okay, you repeat, but three-peat. It's like everything, because there's a luck involved, people being healthy, just something will happen.
Season.
It's a long season, and these teams now have so much data and information that they catch you and they make moves, and there's just a lot that can go wrong. You need, it's not like back in the day you had 4 starters and they went 9 innings or 8 innings, and then you just needed a closer. You need a setup man and a lefty, and like any one of those guys go off the rails, you could lose a game. And by the way, that phenomenal Game 7 of the World Series last year, we saw all the inches and the micro centimeters that could have changed the fate of that World Series from Game 6, Game 7. So, that's how close it was to becoming a whole different story.
I appreciate the hope that you give to anyone not cheering for the Dodgers, although it's incredible what we're witnessing in baseball right now, specifically Ohtani, who has publicly spoken about wanting to win the Cy Young Award at some point. It's the one thing that he's missing. However, he would still be the most valuable player in baseball with just his bat. Doug, what is the ideal use for a once-in-a-lifetime player like Ohtani?
Well, I have already created my own adjective because I don't think any fit. So I just say Ohtanic. I mean, he's Ohtanic.
I love it.
I mean, he is a host unto himself, and I don't think there's any way to describe him, because I'm watching him, and okay, if I go back to Little League or high school, I said, okay, maybe college, it's sort of possible. But, he's doing a Game 4 clinching game to go to the World Series, and he's pitching, striking out 10 batters, giving up no runs, hitting 3 home runs. There's nothing like it. I don't know what I'm looking at. And, maybe the Negro Leagues had Oscar Charleston, or might have been players that might have had – there's some two-way players, but Ohtani is singular. I mean, you can't even say generational talent. It's like, I don't know, it's just singular. It's one person that is being able to do things. And I've been around the game a long time, and every time he is in a game, I'm like, I might see something I've never seen before. And what's amazing about what he creates is that I realize I don't even have the capacity to think of all the things that are impossible in baseball. And then he does it. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't even think he could do that because I didn't even think about it. Like it's different than being like, oh, you're 40-40, you're 50-50. Like he's doing things like, wait a minute, he just started the game, then hit 3 home runs. He's tired. This is the end of the season. He's exhausted. So, if you go back to his MVPs, right, 3 in a row, the year before when the streak started, he got votes for MVP. He was fourth in Cy Young and second in MVP. So if you go back to the year he quote didn't win, he was in the top five in both categories. And by the way, he started the All Star game as a pitcher, played as a hitter. I don't even understand. Like, so now I have fun trying to think of like, wait, what impossible thing can he do that I haven't thought of, and until I see it. So the Cy Young, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's once again, I don't hold it past him. I mean, it's just insane. I think they should give him at some point, if he has a season, like let's say he's 50-50 and wins the Cy
Hmm.
Young, they should literally give him the MVP in Cy Young from both leagues. They should just
Yeah.
like, we're not having an American League Cy Young. We're just going to give it to Shohei Ohtani and just
Yes.
like for a year, just give him all the awards.
I don't think anyone would argue this. Doug, as someone who has played the game, explain to me because I've read through Alden Gonzalez, who writes for ESPN, covers the Dodgers regularly. He's out there. But Alden talked about how he goes from Shohei Ohtani like pitch, and then he's sitting with the pitching coach to go through sequences. Oh, I've got to rush and get up to plate, like get up, go and swing a bat. That is so. No one,
Insane.
you know this. No one's
Nobody
doing
does it.
that.
No,
Period.
no. And at the level of dominance, I mean, the one moment, like I covered the Dodgers a ton through the last few years, all through their playoff runs. And there was one moment where he was coming back as a pitcher and he was doing like an early practice and on the field. It was pretty hot that day. And I was going down into the dugout. It's down the stairs from the locker room. Actually, it was higher up. I was going down the stairs and he was coming up. And that was the first time I ever saw Ohtani like tired. He was sweating. I was like, okay, there's a human element, and so because he's not real. And the other time was like I was, he had that game, and I was walking to do the post game interview, post game hit on Sports Center, and Ohtani and his entourage were coming back to go to the press room, and he was, laser focused ahead. And as I was passing him, I was still a good distance from him. The security had me move against the wall. And then when he went by, I just said, "Congratulations, he goes, thank you." And he just kind of, didn't turn his head, didn't,
But he still has the
the
whereabouts.
blinders, the blinders. Yeah, it's like it's really incredible to see. I joked during the playoffs last year, so I called the Dodgers Reds. It was like kind of the wild card round of sort of the division, and the Dodgers were the weakest division winner, or whatever it was. They played the Reds. So, you know, so I worked on this thing before. I said, you know what? We're in Hollywood now in LA, and all these writers are in the audience, right? All these amazing, Jerry Bruckheimer and whoever, right? So Jason Bateman was in there. So I did this whole skit around if I was if I was trying to be in the writers' room in a Hollywood movie and I'm pitching them on this idea, and I say it's based on a true story, and I say it's a baseball movie. I'm like, okay, and everybody's kind of with me. And then the finale is that this guy goes 50-50. He goes 6 for 6. He hits whatever, 3 home runs, double, steals bases, and they would laugh you out of the room. You're like, wait a minute, it's based on a true story. Like you can't even write fiction on some of the stuff he's doing. Like nobody would believe you. So that is the standard by which you're watching. There's a poetry, there's a greatness, there's an impossibility, but you're also something like you're writing something that like is like creative, like
Yeah.
that a kid imagines and then he actually delivers on. It's really something.
It's something. If he gets the Cy Young Award, do you think that would be his last time he pitches? Like, okay, you got what you needed, Shohei. That's it. Like, do we use him? Maybe he's just middle relief. Maybe he's just go in and then get out.
Closer, win
Yeah.
the relief award. Well, remember Otani wrote a list of goals when he was in high school. So I don't know I can't remember if there's other pitching things on there,
You're
but
right.
it might be strikeout leader or something. I mean, he's already probably passed all the MVP awards already. So I mean, in both leagues. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, he's something to watch. But he's so meticulous. His preparation, his focus, and the respect for the game. He's picking up garbage off the ground. He doesn't want to. He
Yeah.
cleans up. Him and Yamamoto both clean up. The dugouts and the humble nature. It's probably part of the reason the Dodgers are so good because you have mega stars like him, Betts, Freeman that are just humble and willing
Mm-hmm.
to do whatever it takes, and not in that cliche way. People say it all the time, "Oh, I'll do whatever it takes to play. I'll play left field." No, they
Yeah.
actually embody it, and they love the challenge. They're still like motivated to be great. It's Dodgers are special. They really are special, not because of just the talent, because a lot of
Yeah.
talent don't win. The Mets didn't win last year. The Dodgers have some X factor that is really really special.
Speaking of special players, Mike Trout, his former teammate, a three-time MVP, 11-time All-Star. Is it his fault that he hasn't won a World Series, Doug?
Well, no, not unless you're trying to say you should have gotten out of there. That's the only thing I can say. I mean,
Okay.
but no, I mean, there's definitely look. A lot of the players we mentioned, Shohei Ohtani, Seiya Suzuki, a lot of players, hailing from Japan, saw Mike Trout as the greatest player, and he was at a period. And I think that a lot of players had felt it was an honor to play against him or with him.
Hmm.
And so yeah, Trout had that kind of there was a period of time that Mike Trout was by far the greatest player in the game, and it's different now, but he got off to a good start, and but yeah, he's stuck in the Angels where they've expressed that winning wasn't the priority, and he's been stuck there kind of ever since, and maybe yes, he could have left and taken a trade, and maybe he was
Yeah.
hopeful, and you have family and you're stable and kind of hard to just leave, but it might turn out to be the greatest player that never won. He might be up there.
I mean, if you were a former, like, well, you were a former player, but if you went back to talk to Mike Trout, like you were his teammate, would you have changed anything or recommended that he do something else? Like, I feel like players are punished for being loyal to a team, but I'm sure
Mhm.
you can shed some perspective on both choices.
Yeah, you hear about the hometown discount, like, oh, I'm gonna stay, and like, so I don't think that is as respected as it should be,
Yeah.
but I'm sure from the business standpoint, they're just like, because like take I got traded in the middle of the season in Chicago. Well, I went to Chicago from Texas, and the way you could look at it is like I'm only gonna be here for 3 months. Like that's it. I got traded. The season ended. I could go back
Yeah.
where I want. I could go back to Texas. So it's but I can say that as a person that when I was playing, I wasn't married and have kids. It's you make
Yeah.
different decisions, and I think that's a lot more people are at stake here involved, and maybe you're just hopeful. Like I certainly came up as a Cub, like we're gonna win every spring training. You go in every spring training you go in, and everybody tells you that speech. We have we've assembled the greatest coaching staff ever assembled in baseball history. They're all in this room, and there's no reason why we cannot win at all. The talent is right here. Every team says that. I
Uh,
mean, they can't all be right.
the Chicago
So
White Sox are saying that right now,
the White
Doug.
Sox said it. The Rockies said it.
Oh,
We've
man.
assembled the greatest team. I heard that every spring for like 15 years. Like, after a while, you're just like, okay, come on, dude.
Yeah,
Someone is not
good.
telling the truth here. So, yeah, not everybody can win.
Yeah, I mean, in the modern game, for a player to be loyal, does it limit? I just feel, I mean, look at Shohei. He's kind of proven a point. But then,
Yeah,
there are guys that do stay. I mean, Mookie Betts, Red Sox to Dodgers, like,
yeah.
it seems like that's ultimately, is there ever a reason if you're not chasing a ring, which I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I did not play Major League Baseball, unfortunately, but is there ever a reason a player stays because they're not chasing a ring? Or don't you all want that?
I think you all want it. I think earlier in your career, you
Okay.
could you could say that, but you're also just trying to stay. You know,
Okay.
I feel like you go through periods of time where you're like, okay, I just want to get to the big leagues. Okay, I just want to be in the big leagues. I want to
Okay.
start. I want to, you kind of have a little more of a selfish feel early on. Sure, you want to win. It's no question, but you're also at the whims of like who drafted you. Like I just got drafted by the Cubs. They hadn't won.
Yeah.
So there is an element of that. And then you have an agent that's always talking to you and that they may not have the same interest alignment. They're like, go get the most money.
Yeah.
So you have that and it's tempting, even though like Kyle Tucker, you keep hearing with Kyle Tucker, like he left money on the table. The dude's getting $240 million. Like, so it's like at what point you're like, okay, I mean, in 4 years you could go back to that same table. So I don't know, nothing's guaranteed, but I think that there's an element of like there's a lot of forces around you
Yeah.
that yes, you're saying you want the ring, but the decisions are not always aligned. And I go back to I don't want to beat this to a pulp, but like the Dodgers have something special because also they have the buy-in of players, like all these deferred salaries, right? You're going, Tucker, Ohtani, they're just like, I don't care, like whatever I want to make room so I can get more people, and people see that culture and they want to go there.
Yeah.
And you hear that a lot in free agency, but it's like on steroids right now with the Dodgers. Like people want to go to LA. And by the way, they
Yes.
didn't get everybody. They didn't keep everybody they wanted. They didn't get, Garrett Cole. They didn't get Trey Turner. They didn't keep him. Seager walked out the door. So it's not like they've won every single one, but they just have, there's a purpose. I mean, Shohei Ohtani is like literally the welcoming club. He helps recruit players.
Yeah.
Sasaki, Yamamoto from his
Yes.
own country. So there's something about that. You're deferring your salary so you can win. And Otani got beat down with the Angels, and it was like the greatest show never seen, right? And then you do the playoffs. You're like, oh, this is great for baseball. And you don't want the great teams, and the high markets to get all the talent, but it was really evident when Otani went to LA that
Yeah.
their valuation went through the roof. The game relevance became international,
Mm-hmm.
and he performed at the highest stage where eyeballs could not take their eyes off of it. So yeah, great for the game. I mean, Otani is transcendent. I mean, he really is on a lot of levels.
Someone who's gone toe to toe with Otani in the American League, right? Aaron Judge, El Capitan, right? Um, we're gonna go into cards a little bit, but like had his 2013 Bowman Chrome Superfractor, so essentially his first Bowman, which are highly coveted. That card sold for $5.2 million, making it the highest modern day baseball card sale. That's putting him in a club with Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, Mickey Mantle, LeBron, Jordan, and Kobe, who all had cards sell for over $5 million. Outside of Honus Wagner, Judge is the only guy in that little club there without a ring. Does Judge need a ring for that sale to be validated?
That's a great question. Rings matter. I don't think it in a spiritual sense. I would say you need, but I think the economics will say something different. I mean, I think it's part of the cachet to be greatness at the next level, that you're a champion as well. And
Yeah.
I know as a player, you just you're victim circumstance. Sometimes, you talked about Trout earlier. Sometimes you're just at a bad team organization. You get traded, you get hurt, and it's hard to win a ring.
Yeah.
But I do think it's like it is seen in many sports in particular as a separator. Baseball, a lot of pieces. You're not LeBron. You're not like, okay, I'm going to isolate you 1-on-5 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You need a lot of things to go right in baseball, and soccer and these bigger sports where there's so many other players. So, but yeah, I think it matters. It matters. The valuation of that card will go up if he wins
Oh, yeah.
a
Oh,
World
yeah.
Series for sure.
I'll give you a glimpse of how wild baseball collectors are. So, Jack Caglione, he was like the
Yeah.
biggest thing since sliced bread, right? In the game, but also in the hobby. And I want to give you an example of how volatile the card market is in baseball, because specifically in baseball, collectors, they love prospects. And Cags, he was drafted in 2024. He made his MLB debut in June of 2025. And I'm pulling up very briefly here on my computer. In March of 2025, his first Bowman was $530. And then in June of 2025, so he got called up. His card was $1,031. So it pretty much doubled in price. Cag's first
Yep.
Bowman.
Yep.
July, it went back down to $590 of 2025. Cags went 0 for 5 in his MLB debut. That's how insane
Right.
card collectors judge these poor players who are just trying to make it to the bigs. Now, his card has gone back up to 660 as of March 2026. It's a new season.
Yeah.
Doug, when should collectors actually expect for a prospect to properly develop and hit their peak in the majors?
It takes a while. I mean, you're
Yeah.
28, I mean, some of these guys are just, come up at 20 or Rafael Devers or someone, but I think most times it takes a while for you to come into your own. Your whole body, your strength is at a maximum. I know they're training like maniacs and advancing that scale as much as possible, but then there's also the other aspect of the game you need too, the aptitude, the skills, the experience, all that all that comes together, I think a little bit later. But a guy like Caglione will get the chance, right, to start early. These guys come up so quickly from the minors that they probably have a couple extra years to figure it out. But it takes time, and I'm sure their value on a card will be increased by once they're stabilized and like a perennial all star. Then it's like, okay, I believe in this number, and it
Yeah.
might actually start to flatline a little bit.
It's wild. Again, you see it in football. They're drafting Fernando Mendoza already, and I'm like, the dude he's going to the Raiders likely. Like, what are we doing here?
Right, exactly.
Give the kid some breathing room. Okay, so I'm a proud subscriber to your blog. Welcome to Glanville. And this week, you shared some insight in how the game has evolved and how speed isn't utilized the same way that it has or had when you played. But to me, it looks like speed is back, Doug. Like bases are getting bigger, pitch clocks, limited pickoffs. Would love to get your
Yeah.
perspective on where is speed actually appreciated in the game today?
It's very different. It certainly isn't in lineup construction very often. Like you don't need the top of the order guy to be speedy. You need him to get on, and you need Shohei Ohtani, who's fast by the way, but can't hit the ball in the ballpark. So you have to face Ohtani that many times, or back to like Trout, or you started to see that change to be like, let's put the best hitter or the power guy at the top, Kyle Schwarber.
Right.
So that's different than what I played. So people still like speed, but you see it more on defense, or you see it on base running, first to third. When I talked to Aaron Boone about it, he's like, well, I wouldn't mind having a guy like Jazz Chisholm in the sixth slot because, if the seven hitter, eight hitter gets that base hit, maybe unexpected in a bad matchup, he can stretch that base an extra 90 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really different. And yeah, they don't mind it at the top if you have it. But it's not a necessity as it once was. And so that's different for me, trying to see my game in today's game, I have to look a lot harder.
Yeah, I mean, is Moneyball the impetus to the change of the modern game, do you think?
It's a big one, valuation, guys like John Jaso, or, like they walk, they get on. Um, there's a lot of players that came through that. It was all about on base. So when on base became king, that was the difference where they started to prioritize lineup construction differently, or certainly was a big factor in it. So yeah, I'd say that looking for value, really studying the data, saying what are these just traditions and things we just always did versus like what is actually the outcome driven basis for why we're making these decisions. That became really big, and sort of the money ball. They started looking at these things, and they continue. It continues to advance. You look at the Red Sox. They're traded away. I was watching June Lee, by the way, great piece on this. How they traded away Nomar Garciaparra in their like World Series run, popular player, and then they traded away like Mookie Betts. They just like that's data, right? Let me get more of these guys. I could have more for less, and I can make money. So there's a lot of private equity business considerations now that play a role, and a lot of that is just from data, right? Evaluating talent, players, and how to win with spending the least amount.
With so much data, and you also talked about this in your piece, like you have your own bias, like in calling games, like there's something that's still true to someone's gut, but maybe like, is there ever a moment where you're like, my gosh, what are they doing? I wouldn't have done that back in my day. You're just, and you
Right.
maybe you caught yourself for the first time because the game is so different from when you played.
It is, and I'm really mindful of it, and I, make sure I love today's game still. It's like I
Hmm.
feel like I still get the same joy. It's a
Yeah.
it's a different game in some ways, but a lot of ways it's not. And so I feel like there's you know, and a lot of my contemporaries, they're managers, they're coaches, they're around, they have influence about cultural. Players still use the same cliches. That's my next piece, by the way, because just
Okay.
about how these cliches, these young guys are still saying he's a professional hitter, he's a beast. You hear the same phrases, So I think it's still part of it. But yeah, I have to check myself at times because you might be rolling your eyes or something. But for the most part, I just take it in as what it is. Like, okay, why did he, miss the cutoff, man? Like, here's one that I drives me absolutely crazy, and I definitely speak on this at different times. And it's pretty simple. Guy stealing second, and he's not looking in at the ball going across the plate. Like, if it was a straight steal, which pretty much doesn't exist hardly anymore, but if it's like steal, signs on, and that means the hitter's not swinging. Okay, but it's a 2-2 count. Like, you got to look in because you don't know where the ball's going to be hit if it's hit. So I see, happen. I did a Royals Tigers game, and it happened like multiple times in the game, and so the guy's stealing, he's not looking in, ball's hit, and he's like, he's he has no idea where the ball is, and he's looking at the third base coach. I'm like, dude, just look in to see where the ball is.
Where the ball? Yeah.
Yeah, like, so yes, that drives me crazy because these are like little things. So yeah, as an old head that came up as a first round draft pick that still took 4 years and plus to get to the big league, who had to learn how to slide on my left leg, how to learn how to slide on my right leg, how to slide, I had to learn everything to get there because I had to be complete. It was just necessary. Now, to the credit of these young guys today, they start earlier, they play more, travel ball, they have a lot of, and they're more greater athletes and all these things. But those details, like, base hit to center, I'm on second, I score, the hitter goes and then runs into an out after the guy throws the cutoff, who had no play at the plate. I'm asking the hitter, like, where are you going, dude? Like, why are you just running into an out?
Right.
So stuff like that, which, or, just simply how to slide into a base. So is it different? Yeah, they can't block the plate anymore. You can't take out someone at second in a double play. But yeah, but I think the game's in great shape. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
wonderfully talented, respectful young players that are just deserve to be there that probably wouldn't have been there back in the day because they would have
Yeah.
hazed you for another year in the minors or something. But yeah, but it's different, and but I check myself once in a while, and I feel like I embrace the change.
You were part of like the steroid era, and you were almost, you didn't. I mean, you what well, like a buck 70, buck 85. I don't actually know men's weights well, but like from a baseball card, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you were a speedster. You were the leadoff hitter the majority of your career, if I'm not mistaken, and yet you're going against the Sosas and the Bonds and the Maguires, and you're like,
no
I'll be
chance.
okay. I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, it was true. That was hard. It was hard because I knew a lot of people were cheating at a certain point, but there was nothing I could do about it. I wasn't gonna, there was like, okay, I still got to figure out how to hit this guy. I don't know what he's
Mm,
on. So but it was definitely tough. And but yes, I had to rely on my body type. I had to serve my game. It didn't make sense for me to go in the off season and be 220 coming back. You're right. I was about 185 was the most I weighed in that ballpark, but it mostly is like high 170s, 180
yeah.
somewhere in there, and I had speed was my game. So, my mom used to say about Jimmy Rollins, he's like, Jimmy, I love Jimmy. He's always trying to be big and tall when he's not, and he has to realize. that he can only play his game because of his size. That's his game. So he should just embrace it. And mom used to say that his rookie year, like,
That's
so very,
funny.
very, wise insight. But that's your game. And then it was appreciated. I didn't have to hit 40 home runs, right? I could
Yeah.
be a singles hitter and make contact and be good. I don't know if today might be harder for sure.
I mean, it's a wild change. And I appreciate. I was small, and I liked hitting leadoff, and that was like good spot to be in. Um, a few more questions. You said you enjoyed talking to Aaron Boone, the Yankees manager, because his father was the first autograph you ever received in the mail after you wrote him a letter when he was with the Phillies.
Yes,
How do you,
that's right.
what, please, like, do you remember getting that card back in the mail? Do you still have
Oh,
it?
oh, I still have it.
You
Absolutely.
still,
It's on my bulletin. Yeah, I'll send you a picture. I've the
please.
bulletin board in high school, well, way before junior high school, or that's what we called it back in Teaneck. But yeah, I put everything on the board, and his card. It was like a photo card, and it was in the lower left corner, if you're facing it. And yeah, it was up all through high school. So yeah, I probably got it in like 81 or something like that. So it was probably 11, 10, 12, somewhere in there. And yeah, so that was the first. I wrote a bunch of letters. I got others. I
Okay.
love Mike Schmidt. I love Gary Maddox, but Boone was the first to respond. It came in the mail right away.
Amazing.
So I got it, put it on my board. And so yeah, getting to know Aaron all those years and getting to know Bob as a Philly, really cool stuff to see. Yeah, full circle for sure.
That's so wild. Did you sign all the cards you got in the mail? Like because you remembered how special it was or
I tried. I didn't get all of them. I remember, not losing, but having to wait when I got traded in the middle of the
oh
season, stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
So there was before my son was born. He's 17 now. Before he was born, I went through because we were clearing out the closets to get ready for it's like nesting, right?
Yeah.
So we were, and I found all these bags of mail that I hadn't opened because it just got lost in the shuffle. I went through all of those bags. I still have a couple from another year, and I updated the postage. Some were from, I think, double A, so they were from 15 years prior. And I updated all the postage and I mailed them out. And I got like some, I got letters back. I got some people were like, "Oh my gosh, like I sent this 15 years ago."
What?
So yeah, I wrote an article about it for the Times about just like how crazy it was to get some of these letters back and in response. So yep, I addressed it, sent it, and so yeah, I tried. I didn't solely succeed, and I'm going to do another round of that, by the way, because I have a couple more bags. But yeah, I tried. I definitely wanted to honor that.
You're an honorable man, Doug. That is for sure. I want to give you something. Do you have that package I sent you?
I do. There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah. Awesome. Open that up there.
Open it up.
Yeah. Please
What's it?
do. That is a gift from We the Hobby.
Oh wow, this
That is,
is
I believe it's a
awesome.
Mike Schmidt triple relic. You
Oh
said that
my
was your
God.
favorite player. I just wanted to
Yes.
see what story
Wow.
you have to like why him. I could speak for
Mm.
you, but you know yourself better than anybody else.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I thought you was going to be my card and you were going to tell everybody. And it's worth 11 cents today. It's up from 9 yesterday. So, uh, yeah, Mike Schmidt, a big Philly fan growing up. And most of my teams were because they had cool uniform colors. Because my brother got me into baseball and all these sports early. So I didn't have like deep, knowledge. I was 4 or whatever. So I was like, they have cool uniforms. So I ended up liking the Denver Broncos because of the orange crush. I like the Phillies because they had the powder blue road uniforms. And I just loved the powder blue. And that was how I started. So and I like Dave Cash was one of the early favorites, but Mike Schmidt just captured me. He's an athlete, third base, he's defense, and then the power. I just loved its completeness, and it was a real honor to meet him and play with the Phillies. But yeah, Michael Jack Schmidt, and just absolutely one of my favorites. So that was the one I imitated. By the way, like if you ever look at my batting stance, so one of the things I do when I hit in the big leagues was a tribute to Mike Schmidt. So every time I went to hit, I always tapped the plate, tapped both ends, boom, boom. That's what Schmidt did. Boom,
Mm.
tap the plate down, and then So that was my Mike Schmidt nod as and it was honored. The guy who does the batting stances online, the
Yeah.
batting stance guy. He did me once, and he had it down. He just hits the plate and just like so.
That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
that's Mike Schmidt was a through line. So that's why when I wrote that article about relevance and like how you're older, a lot of times you don't realize when you're playing, and I realize now a lot of these young players still have guys from before that they were fans of that they're imitating, they're replicating, so I think it's kind of how baseball has a really special thread.
Oh yeah. I mean, there must be a pinch me moment because I, Doug, was a big fan of yours, and I did get a card of
Oh,
yours that I'm
that's
going
a
to
good one.
send to you. Yes. I
Wow, that's
don't
a good
know if
one.
you, yeah, do you have all
I,
of
I
your cards?
I
Do
don't
you
know. I do have. I think I have pretty much all, but that was a
look at
cool card.
that? Look at
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that was it.
It's a
That
numbered
was it.
card too. I appreciate a numbered card. 22 out of 99. There you are
Yeah,
in your glory days, Doug.
good days, good days.
Man. Do you have a game that stands out to you when you played?
Maybe, well, probably the first, just getting called up and being at Wrigley Field. It was June 9th. It was like 40 degrees. And I remember going, that's actually the Montreal Expos. That's not like wiffle ball with my brother. That's actually the Expos. That is the real team. And the fact that you could win a game against the Yankees and it's actually the Yankees and you're
Right.
on the opposing, yeah, that was surreal for a long time.
My
Just like
God.
how I'm stepping in the box against Dwight Gooden. Like, what is going on right now?
Who did you face? Yeah, it
Crazy,
was Dwight. Was it Dwight
crazy.
Gooden? Was that your first at bat?
No, no,
Oh,
that was like late. I had a home run off Dwight Gooden, and when he was
nice.
he was he was with the Astros, so he was throwing
Okay.
like 85, so it wasn't quite Dr.
Okay.
K, but
Sure.
but yeah, I faced Fernando Valenzuela. I was just like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Every day was like what I played Stratomatic with these guys. I played wiffle ball imitating these guys. I
Yeah.
just I never stopped being a fan. Like never
Yeah.
stopped. It was
Love
really
that.
fun.
That is awesome. I'm going to send this to you in the mail here.
All right. Looking forward to it. Yeah. Thank
Doug,
you
I
so much.
appreciate you so much. I'm excited to hear. I love listening to you on the radio. I still listen to baseball games on the radio. So on ESPN, you can find Doug. But Doug, so grateful for you. Thank you for your time. And I hope I see you soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Serena. Great show and enjoy it. It's a great hobby to have. I'll tell you. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.